Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Educate. Today we'll be doing the data structures and algorithms, right? So in Python, when we are talking about data structures, we're just simply talking about the structures that are responsible for storing information. Since you did Python basics already, you already have an idea of what storing information is. For example, if I go to this IDE here, this is VS Code. I'm going to be coding on this environment. Let's just say I say a variable is known as my var. This is the name of the variable. And then I assign this variable to a string, and I say the string is Philani. Okay, so this value or this item, or you can say this element Philani, this string element Philani, it is actually stored in the variable my var, such that if I try to print my var, I'm definitely going to get Philani, which is the value. In my console, I'm going to get Philani there. Why is that? It is because basically variables store the items. Variables can store items such as integers. They can store items such as floats. They can store items such as strings, like the one that I've presented here. So now when we're talking about the data structures, we introduce data structures when we want to store more than one item, or when we want to store more than one piece of information. Basically, those data structures, we sometimes call them as collections, because we're actually collecting multiple items. We're not only going to store only one string in the variable my var, but we want to store multiple strings. Okay, so we've got different types of collections, but by definition we can say just that collections is a group. A collection is just a group of 0 or more items that can be treated as a conceptual unit. They are used to organize data and make the program to be more efficient. So we've got built-in collections. Those are the collections that are found within the Python. They are already built in within Python. They are available to use globally. Okay, we are still going to explore each and every one of them, but in this particular video we'll be focusing on the lists. Okay, so let's start with the list first of all. So now if I want to store a list of items, or a list of let's just say a list of elements or a list of items, I can give the variable name as list. Remember guys that Python variables have got a strict naming. Okay, you cannot put hashtag, you cannot put a dollar symbol on your name, you cannot put an end symbol, or I think you cannot put an end symbol on the name, and all of that. So if I want to store more than one items in this list, I can use square brackets. So once I put square brackets, I say that it is known as a list. I just don't call it only a variable. I'm gonna call it a list of items. This first one, this one, which is my var, it is a variable because it's only storing one item, which is the string Philani. But now, because I want a list of items, I'm going to use square bracket, and then I'm going to store those items within the square brackets. Let's say I want to store the items, which is going to be the first one. I'm going to say it's Sandile. So Sandile is the first item that I'm storing in this list. If I want to store another item, I'm just going to put a comma, and then I can store any other item. I can store another string. Let me just say I store the string Philani. So you can see that this variable, which I've given the name as list, it is now storing more than one item. It is storing Sandile. It is also storing Philani. I can even store multiple items as well. I can store, let's just say I store an item, let's just say maybe I store the item Chantel. Okay, so this is a string item which is going to be Chantel. So you can see that in a list I can store multiple elements or multiple items. So each and every one of these items, we just call them items, or you can call them elements. So you can say that Sandile, the first name here, Sandile is an element of list, or you can say it is an item that is found in the list. Philani, it is an item that is found in the list. Chantel is an item that is found in the list. So you can see that this list is a list variable. It's a variable. We don't call it a variable anymore. We just call it a list because now we are having multiple items in it. Okay, so those are known as lists. We're going to be focusing on them the most. But other collections that we have got lists, we have got tuples, we have got sets, as well as dictionaries. All right, but we're going to focus on lists only today. So let me just show you a brief of how tuples and dictionaries as well as sets, how do they work. So if I want to store my data in a set, I would say, let's just say the set, let me just give it a name, and I say it's set 5. If I store it, I'm going to use parentheses, okay? Oh, there's a tuple, I mean, not a set, sorry. Let me just say this is tuple 5. So now if I put this round brackets or I put the parentheses, it means that it is now a tuple. It is no longer a list. I can still store multiple items just as I did, just like I did there in the list, but now we now call it a tuple. Let me just store another one and say I'm storing Zanele inside, and let me store another item inside the tuple. Let me just store maybe a Timber. Okay, so we are having 3 items here, and these 3 items, they are all stored in this tuple. We just call it a tuple because we are now having these round brackets, these parentheses. Otherwise, the manner in which we store the information is the same thing as storing it in a list, because in a list, remember, we are just entering the items, but we now enclose them with square bracket. But when it comes to tuples, we just enclose those items with round brackets or with parentheses, okay? But we separate different items or different elements using commas, okay? So we can also look at sets as well. When you're talking about a set, okay, so this is a list, right? Let me just add a comment there and say an example of a list. This is an example of a list, right? So, and then the second one is an example of a tuple. So this one is an example of a tuple. Now let me talk about a set. So when I'm talking about a set, remember, a set, it is still a data structure. It is just used to store information. Information can be anything, strings, integers, or any other data type. So if I say set 3 and I say set 3, I'm going to put curly braces. So now I'm going to enclose my data items using curly braces. So I can put the string inside and say the first string that I'm going to put is Philani. The second string that I'm going to put is a Sandile. And then the third string that I'm going to put, maybe I'm going to say is a Simpiwe. So here it is. So basically, this is now known as a set. We are still storing data items as well, right? We are still storing data items, but now we are enclosing them with curly braces. So these are known as curly braces, all right? So for a list, we use square brackets, or you can say we use a bracket. It depends on where you are from. And then in a tuple, we use round brackets, or you can say we use parentheses. And then in a set, we use curly braces, or you can say curly braces with my fancy English accent. So you use curly braces to be able to make a set. Okay, you enclose the data items using curly braces. So this is an example of a set. Okay, this is an example of a set. So let me just label this as a comment and say that this is an example of a set. All right, we also have got dictionaries. So dictionaries are very important. Let me just say I'm gonna name my dictionary variable as a dict4. So dict4 is my dictionary. In a dictionary, we also use curly braces as well, but now we are linking 2 items. So we're actually linking 2 items. So let's say I want to link the name to an age. Let's just say I link the name Philani, and I want to link it to my age. I'm going to say Philani, and I'm going to put a colon. Is that a colon? Okay, I'm going to put that, but I'm going to put a colon, okay? If I put a colon there, let me just say I link Philani to, let's just say, for example, I link Philani to 23. So you can see that here I've linked 2 data items. This colon here, it is actually linking the first data item, which is Philani, and 23 as well. So we can just say this Philani and 23, they are linked together. They are kind of functioning as a unit. Okay, I can store another element, and I say that I'm gonna store Sandile, but now I want the Sandile to have an age, and the age of Sandile is gonna be 25 years. Okay, so basically I'm actually linking the Sandile item to the 25 item. So this is known as a dictionary. A dictionary stores a linked items. It doesn't just store only one item. Remember that in the list and the tuples, we were just storing only one item. Okay, one item in each position. But now in a dictionary, you can store one item and link it to another one using a colon. I can link other things that are different here. Maybe let me just link the variable age. Let me just link a variable age, and then I'm going to link it to maybe 32. All right, this is still linking something. It's linking the string item age with the 32 here. So this is known as a dictionary. So later on, we're going to do each and every one of these data structures, but for now I just want you to know that we have got these collections. So this is an example of a dictionary. All right, so now let us look at basic applications. How do you apply this? Since you are becoming a programmer, you need to know how to apply this. How can you use this to be able to design certain things? So here I've already made a document that shows some of the applications whereby you can use these data structures. Okay, for example, when you're looking at e-commerce shopping carts, you guys know of e-commerce shopping cart. You guys do a lot of online shopping. So when you're doing online shopping, you often add items to the cart, products to the cart. Let's say you want to buy a Samsung phone, you are going to add the Samsung phone to the cart, and at the end of the day, you're going to check out and pay for the phone, right? So we use list to be able to do that. Basically, the code below starts with an empty cart. It's just an example. Don't worry yourself too much about the syntax. For now, I'm just giving you an idea of an application. Okay, so if we're having an empty cart, for example, let's just focus on this empty cart of mine. So we have got an empty cart here, which is labeled as cart, and it is empty, right? And then now, when you start with this empty cart, you can add items to it. So we are still going to talk of such methods such as the append method. The append method, it is used to add items into a cart, into a list. Okay, so if you start off with an empty list such as this one, which is the cart, you can add items to it. You can add a wireless mouse, you can add a mechanical keyboard, and all of that. You can also remove items from the cart. This is just an example of a practical application whereby you can use this, because I don't want you guys to just learn the theory. I want you guys to know that you can always use this, you can always apply this. So at a later stage, you're going to look at each and every one of these methods. Here's the second application that I have for you, a music playlist management. Remember, you guys play music a lot in your phone. If you want to shuffle music, you use a list as well. So let's just look at this code, for example. Do not worry yourself about the syntax. In our next video, we're gonna go through the syntax one by one and how it works with this. Let's say we've got a playlist here having song A, song B, and song C. These are the three elements, or these are the three items found in the playlist, right? If you want to play the next song, you can just use the pop method and say playlist.pop, and you pop 0. It means that you want to play, you want to remove the song 0, and after that you're going to set the new song, the current song. Okay, you're gonna set song A to being the current song, and you're gonna find the next song to be song B, and all of that. Do not worry yourself too much about the syntax, guys. I repeat, I'm just giving you an idea on how to practically apply this, right? We have got also the geolocation, the GPS coordinates. Okay, when we're talking about coordinates, you can use tuples to do that. Okay, coordinates, for example, remember the GPS coordinates have got a longitude and a latitude. So if you want to represent the longitude using degrees, you can use tuples. You can also represent the latitude in a similar way. Okay, so GPS coordinates, they also use the logic of tuples. Even the user profiles, this one is very realistically applicable. Okay, for example, you have got a username and an email, and you have got yeah, quite a couple of information, and your password, the one that you use to log into systems. Basically, we use dictionaries because we want to link your username with a certain name. We want to link an email with your email. We want to link maybe your age with your age, something like that. So dictionaries, remember, they are used to kind of link. So for now, do not worry yourself about the syntax. So the last piece of information that I want to add when it comes to the collections is the mutability of the collections. So basically, lists, we say that lists are ordered. Okay, so lists, they can be ordered. They are ordered collections. When you say that they are ordered collections, it simply means that they've got a certain order. There's a specific order. Okay, they are also mutable, and they also allow duplicates. So you can make a duplicate of a list. You can also change a list. You can add items to a list, or you can remove items to a list. When you say that they are mutable, it simply means that they are changeable. It means that you can implement some change on them. Either you add an item, you remove an item, or you do whatever it is that you want with your list. Okay, and furthermore, a list can store, let's just focus on lists even more now, because remember that lists are the most important. So one other thing, the lists can store multiple data types. So the list can store multiple data types. For example, I can create a list. Let me just say my list is going to be list 2, and this list 2 is going to have the square brackets, of course, and store items of different data types. Let me store a string. The string name is Philani, and then I'm going to store an integer 34, and I'm going to store another string, maybe Sandile, and I'm going to store a floating data type, let's just say 7.80. All of this, you can see that I've stored different data types. The items have got different data types. I mean, the first one here is Philani, it's a string. The 34 is an integer, it's an integer item. The Sandile here is a string, and the 7.80 is a floating, it's a float data type. So basically, the lists, they do not really select a certain data type. Okay, they can store multiple data types. So if a list is storing multiple data types, we say that it is heterogeneous. So this is an example of a heterogeneous. So it's a heterogeneous list. So when you say that it's a heterogeneous list, it simply means that it is storing more than one type. Okay, it is storing a string and an integer, or maybe an integer and a float, but it's a combination of different data types. I mean, a string is a string of letters, whereas here we have got a number, whereas here we've got a floating type, and we've got a string. It's just a mixture of different data types. We say that it is a heterogeneous list. We can say it's a heterogeneous list, or it's a heterogeneous collection, but say it's a heterogeneous list. So we can also have a homogeneous list. When the list is homogeneous, it simply means that it is only having one data type. Let me just say I name the list as list 3. If I assign list 3 to the integer 2, the integer 5, the integer 7, and the integer 9, this is storing only the integers. You can see that this is a list of integers. This is just integers alone. Integers. So this is 2, 5, 7, 9. So it's only integers, so it is a homogeneous. So we say that's going to be a homogeneous list. Homogeneous simply means that it is storing only one data type. It's only storing the items in the list. They only have got one data type. It's consistent. For example, here we're having 9 is an integer, 7 is an integer, 5 is an integer, as well as 2. So when a list is storing the same data type, you say it's homogeneous. When it's storing different data types, you say it's heterogeneous. This is very important. For example, if you want to store a list of marks, for example, the marks from the learners, let's say you are a teacher like me, and then you store your learners' marks in a spreadsheet. Basically, they're going to be stored in a list. They're going to have a list of marks, and you can do quite a lot of them. You can do quite a lot of things on the marks. You can either add other marks on top of the spreadsheet. We're still using the same Python logic. So basically, this is a list. So you can now proceed and print your list so that you can be able to print all the items found in a list. So you can still use the print function that you know from the Python basics. If I want to print the list, let me just say, let me print the list, the first list, which is LYST. This is the list that I made here. the first one. So it is supposed to print Sandile, Philani, Chantel. So if I'm going to run this program in my console, I'm going to get Sandile, Philani, Chantel. So it just prints the list exactly as it is. So this is making the list available to the user. Okay, because for now this was all in program. Okay, the user of the program doesn't really see all the code. For example, when you're using WhatsApp, you don't really see the code that is making your messages to be able to go from one place to another. No, you don't see that code, but you only see the output. So similarly, in the console, you can choose to put an output, which is to print the elements of the list. Okay, I can choose to also print the other list, maybe print the list list 3. If I print list 3, you can see that list 3 has got the integers 2579. So if I'm going to print this in my console, I'm going to get 2579 if I'm going to run the code. So it means that this is the output that the user can be able to see, because this print function, remember, it kind of prints it prints a certain output for the user of the program to be able to access. But when you look at other data types, the tuples, they are ordered, they are immutable. So tuples, they are immutable. You cannot change a tuple. So once you set a tuple and its data elements, you cannot add any more. You cannot remove any data elements. You cannot change anything in a tuple. So for example, this tuple here that has got Philani, Zanele, Themba, these are the elements, or these are the items that I have stored in the tuple. No one can change. The user is not able to change or the user is not able to add other items. Okay, the programmer can add items. Of course, I can just come here and put a comma and add another item, maybe add the integer 8. Okay, I can do that to a tuple, right? Because I'm a programmer. But the user, the program user cannot add anything to a tuple. But in a list, you can be able to add. But we're going to look at all of those methods in our next video. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to also stay tuned.